Hey and howdy everyone, it's Jeannie with Paper Pixie Ink, and today I'm going to do a quick tutorial on how to make this cute little folio. It is very quick and easy to make. Beginners can do this. You can pre-cut all your materials, so let's dive in. Okay, so to get started, I have pre-cut everything. I will walk you through the whole process, but I have pre-cut everything so that I can try and make this tutorial a little bit shorter than normal. I will try and get all of the measurements in the description below so you don't have to, worry about following along too much. So I have used black cardstock, some orange cardstock, and then I had some pattern paper from the Recollections paper pad Dead and Breakfast from a few years ago. So I've used mostly scraps from that. I have also used from LDRS Creative the Halloween Sentiments stamp set, as well as the Sentiment stack dies and the shadow dies. So the stack dies and the shadow dies, and this gives you this look here. So I've used 4 of those as well. I've also used, this is from my stash, I want to say this is from last year, so it's not that old, but this is from Stampin' Up. They don't have this anymore. It is from last year's mini catalog, I think. So you can use, anything that you have on hand, or if you have a paper collection that actually has, something that you can cut out. I just liked these, so I used that, and then I stamped the stamp in this silver ink. This is Encore. Okay, so for the cover, this is just going to be a very basic kind of folio with the waterfalls. So it's very simple. So I'm taking 2 pieces of chipboard. You could use like 110-pound cardstock if you wanted to as well. It would work quite well for this project, but I'm going to use chipboard. So these 2 pieces are cut to 7 inches by 7.5 inches, and then my spine is 7 inches by 3/4 inches. So 7 inches by 3/4 inches. So it's going to go like this. And I have cut, well, 1 piece of cardstock. So 1 piece of cardstock I'm using is 11 by 8.5, so a normal piece of cardstock. And then this second piece I have cut to 8.5 by 7, so 8.5 by 7, and we're going to glue these 2 pieces together. So I'm just going to take some liquid adhesive. You could use, double-sided adhesive or a tape roller of some sort if you wanted. I just find that liquid adhesive works best for me for this kind of application. And I'm just applying about 1/2 inch on here. And then I'm just going to lay this over it and press it down. I'm going to grab a bone folder and press it down just because I want to make sure that I get good adhesion there. And then I'm going to take my chipboard pieces and I am just going to lay them out on here. And I'm going to use this tool from We Are Memory Keepers just so that I can kind of keep my spine angled correctly. So I'm just going to apply glue to the back. Well, it doesn't really matter. And then I'm just going to lay my first chipboard piece down, just like this. And then I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to place it down. And we'll do our spine next. So again, we're just adding glue. Just going to press it down. Now we're going to take our last piece of chipboard, and again we're applying glue. You don't want to put it on too thick, but you want to make sure that it's going to stay in place. Using my tool, and then I'm just going to lay that down just like that. So there we have that. I am going to take my little cutting mat here, and I'm going to use this tool again, and I'm just going to place this corner piece on here. And then I'm going to take my craft knife. So this is a We Are Memory Keepers, but you can use whatever you have. You could also just mark it with a pencil and then cut. I am not good at cutting without having some kind of guide. I almost always get it wrong. We're just going to do that to all 4 corners. So I'm just going to lift my edges so that I have a bit of a fold there to start, and I'm going to do that with my 2 long sides. So I'm just going to take some double-sided adhesive, and I'm going to lay it out along the edge of my cardstock. And I'm going to do that for all 4 sides while I just have it out. Okay, I'm just going to burnish that down. And then I am going to start with this side. I'm going to remove the backing from my double-sided adhesive, and then I'm going to take my liquid glue and I'm going to run it along the edge of my chipboard. And then I'm just going to lightly cover the remainder of the cardstock. I just want to make sure I get really good adhesion here. And then I'm going to lift and push it down. And that double-sided adhesive will help it grip right away. If you just use liquid glue here, it takes longer for it to stick. It will stick very well, but it does take longer. So that's why I like using both double-sided adhesive and liquid adhesive. I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And then for my 2 shorter sides, I am just going to push in on those corners just so that you can get a nice clean corner. Some people don't do this and it works out fine, but I like to make sure that my corners will be nice and clean. And then I'm going to fold that up again, pull that off, and just do the exact same thing. And I am sorry if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. So now we have our basic cover. So there we have that. Now I have gone ahead and pre-cut the card or the pattern paper that I'm going to use, as well as all of the other pieces. So I have cut a piece of cardstock. This is 6 3/4 by 2 inches, and I'm going to use this to cover the inside of my spine because I'm not actually going to have pages. I'm not going to have signatures. I'm only going to have something on the front and back covers. I just want to make sure that this is covered nicely. So again, 6 3/4 by 2 inches, and I'm just going to place glue along the edges. And then in the center, and then I'm just going to lightly kind of go around those areas. And then I'm just going to place this down. And then I'm going to use my bone folder to just make sure it's pressed down really, really well. And then I'm going to use it to go along the edges of my spine because I don't want the paper cracking or anything. So now I should get a nice fold in that. So these are the papers that I picked out. So I'm going to put these ones on the outside and these ones on the inside. All 4 of these are the same size. So these ones are 6 3/4 tall by 7 1/4 inches wide. So 6 3/4, 7 1/4. And these are the same. So these are for the outside covers, front and back. And again, 6 3/4 by 7 1/4. It's important that you make sure that you have the pattern going the correct way if there is a pattern where it matters. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these on. Goes on just like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the front cover. And I'm not putting a closure on here, but if you wanted to put a closure, like you wanted to put like a ribbon tie or something like that, you would definitely want to make sure that you're doing that before you glue down the pattern paper. And we'll come back. I haven't decided quite yet what I wanted to do with the spine, if I wanted to use the same paper or something different. So we'll come back to that. On the inside, I'm going to go ahead and glue these 2 pieces down. So again, 6 3/4 by 7 1/4. So there is the base cover mostly completed. We will address the spine later. Let's go ahead and work on our waterfalls for the inside. So I'm going to do a basic waterfall. I'm not going to do one of the kinetic like pull down waterfalls. So we are going to create 4 waterfalls that look like this. So they're pretty basic. And then we are going to create some closures to go with them. And the closure is just going to look like this. And I'm just going to use a bang knit on it. So we're going to get started with creating our basic waterfalls. So you're going to cut 4 pieces of cardstock to 6 3/4 by 2 3/4. And then you're going to cut 24 of these pieces of cardstock to 4 1/4 by 2 3/4, and then we're going to score them at the 1/2 inch mark, or if you're doing it this way because you like to be able to hold onto your paper on your scoreboard, you will score at 3 3/4. And then for our closures, you are going to cut 4 of these. So 4 of these, and you're going to cut them to 5 1/2 by 1 1/4, and you're going to score them at a 1/2. So you can either score them at the 1/2 this way, or at 5 inches if you are like me and you want to hold on to your cardstock when you're scoring. So this space here should be 5 inches. And again, you need 4 of those. And then we are going to put these pieces on our closures to just cover the plain cardstock. So you're going to need 8 of these because you're going to need one for either side of this, but you're only going to need it for this space in here. So again, you need 8 of those, and they're going to be 1 inch by 4 3/4 inches. And then you're going to need 4 pieces of pattern paper that are cut to 2 5/8 by 3 5/8. And you're going to want to make sure that they are cut however you want your waterfalls to sit inside your cover. So for my waterfalls, I'm on this side, I'm going to put one like these, one here and one here, going the opposite way. So I'll have this one here and this one here. And then on this side, I'm actually going to do them this way and then this way. And so I cut my pieces of pattern paper accordingly. So these ones are 3 5/8 by 2 5/8 because they're going to go this way. And then I've cut 2 pieces for this side this way. So 2 5/8 by 3 5/8 because I need my pattern to go this way. Hopefully that makes sense. And then I have cut 24 of these. So this is just orange cardstock. I've cut 24 of these to 2 5/8 by 3 5/8, and they will be going on the inside of these, just like this. And these are cut to 2 5/8 by 3 5/8, so you can mat a 3 1/2. So you can mat a 2 1/2 by 3 1/2 photo on these, just like that. So they'll mat really, really well. So again, 24 of an alternative color. I'm using black cardstock for my base, so and everything else is kind of blacks and grays and whites. So I'm not really picking a coordinating color. But if you're using, you know, colored cardstock, or your pattern paper is more than just, you know, shades of, make sure that you pick a coordinating color that goes with it, or, you know, you could always go with a nice basic white on the black, which would also look very nice. And then I have 4 of the little witches hats that I will be attaching. So this is a closure, and I will be attaching it just like this, or alternatively like this, depending on which way, you know, my waterfall features are going. And then I will take these stamped sayings and I will place them with the witches' hats. So let's start on making the actual waterfalls. So to get started on that, I'm actually going to grab my scoreboard, just because I can't remember who it was now, but I saw this in another video a while back now, and they used their scoreboard to line up their waterfall features. It worked beautifully. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to grab, this is one of the 4 pieces of 6 3/4 by 2 3/4, so 6 3/4 by 2 3/4. I'm just going to line it up here. And I'm going to grab all of these mats that I made. So these are going to be creating our waterfall. So these again are 4 1/4 by 2 3/4 and scored at the 1/2 inch mark. And we're going to fold on all the score lines and burnish them all down, and then we'll start making our waterfall. Okay, so now that we have all of those folded and burnished, we are going to be gluing these down just like this. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to apply glue on this tab. And you want good coverage, but you want to make sure that you use a light hand because you don't want a ton of glue seeping out. And then I am just going to place this right up at the top and against the side. So it's right there in that corner, perfectly lined up. And then I'm going to burnish that down. And then I'm going to take another piece and I'm going to put it on that little tab. And I am going to keep this in the corner, and then I'm going to line it up with that edge of the last tab, keeping the edge aligned with the side here, just like this. And we're just going to keep repeating that, so keep it up in the corner, and then we're going to align the edge up with that last tab. So this is how you're getting the waterfall look. And we're going to put 6 of these on each one. So keep it in the corner. And last one for this one. So there we have a perfectly aligned waterfall. And you're just going to do that for all 4 of them. Alright, so now that we have all 4 of our waterfall features done, we're going to start gluing them together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to attach my closures to them. So again, you need 4 pieces. They're cut to 1 1/4 by 5 1/2, and you're going to score a little 1/2 inch tab. So I'm going to fold on those tabs, and I'm going to burnish those down. And then I'm just going to eyeball placement on here. So what you're going to do is you're going to glue this piece of the tab under here like this to create our closure. So I'm going to place my glue. I'm going to flip my waterfall over, so I'm on the back, and I'm going to eyeball the center. You can, of course, measure that for sure, but I'm going to eyeball it. Okay, so once you have the closures put on all 4 of them, I'm going to go ahead and put my magnets on. You could also use like Velcro if you wanted to. I like my magnets, so I'm going to use 4 sets of them. And I'm just going to use, this is from scrapbook.com, this is 3/4 inches, and this is double-sided adhesive. I like using this for my magnets just because I find that I can cut it to like the perfect size. So the first one that I'm going to put on, I'm going to put on the actual closure. Whoops. Just like that, so that I can make sure I get the placement right, because this has to be more precise than the one on the waterfall itself. And then I am just going to put this on here like this and press it down. And then I am just going to use this tool to just make sure that it's pressed on around that magnet properly. And I'm going to go ahead and do that on all 4. Okay, so now that I have all of my magnet closures on, I'm going to go ahead and start putting on my pattern paper. So I'm going to start with these pieces that go on here. So each one of these will have a piece across here and a piece across here, just like this. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to take my liquid adhesive and this pattern paper doesn't really matter which way it goes, so I'm not too concerned about that. Remove the backing off my magnet, and I'm just going to go ahead and put some glue around and on that just for a slightly better hold. And then I'm going to put glue on my pattern paper, and I'm going to apply that just like this. And you want to make sure that you press down around your magnet, because there isn't a lot of paper to cover the magnet, so you want to make sure that you get a good hold around it. And you're going to go ahead and do that on all 4 of these. Okay, so you can see that these are shaping up. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my pattern paper on these. Now remember, I'm doing this way in my album, so, or in my folio. So these are going to go on here like this. You could, depending on what way your photos go, so if you're planning this project for specific photos, build this based on the way that your photos go or the way that you are going to crop them. Because, you know, they're obviously, these are portrait style, these are landscape, so you can do whichever works for you. If you have all landscape and you want to put all of yours like this, you can absolutely do that. Or alternatively, if they're all portrait, you can do the same thing. So just bear that in mind, do what works best for you. These are kind of interchangeable. So I'm going to go ahead and put my pattern paper on. So I have 2 sets of pattern paper. These are again 2 5/8 by 3 5/8, and they're going to go on just like this. And if you want to keep all of them going the same way, you can absolutely do that as well. I just want to be a little bit different, so I'm going to go ahead and glue these down. So I'm going to remove my backing. I'm going to make sure that I have some glue on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue this one down. And I'm going to glue it this way. And these will only have a small, thin border around all the sides, so that if you wanted to, you could still mat photos on here. And then this one, I'm going to mat this way. I'm making this one the opposite. If you wanted your waterfalls to go both the same way, obviously you would flip it around and do it like you did the first one. So then this one is going to go like this. Move my backing, put glue on. That one's going to go there, and then we're going to do this one this way. Okay, so you can see this coming together. Now if you wanted like a monochromatic look and you were using papers like this, I would use, you know, a white matte for my waterfall. I wanted to add some color and make it more Halloween-y colored. So I'm going to use these, and again, there are 24 of these, and they are all going to go on each one of these. Just like this. And again, they're only going to have a thin border as well because they're made to put 2.5 by 3.5 photos. So then you're going to have something that looks, well, neater than that. So let's go ahead and glue these in. So there's our first one done. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do that for the other 3. Okay, so now that we have all 4 of our waterfall features completed, I'm going to put my little witch's hats on all of my waterfalls. So these ones are just going to sit on here like this. These ones will sit on here like this. And then we have our little words. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue these on. Oops. So I think I'm going to do these just like this, and then put these ones just like that. So I'm just going to put glue across it, and then center-ish, eyeballing. Alright, so that is the basis of this little folio, and I think I've decided for my spines on the inside and the outside, I am just going to use matching paper, so it will need to be about 5/8 this way and 6 3/4 inches this way. So I'm just going to put this in here like this. And I'm going to go ahead and glue these down, and you can just glue the whole thing unless you want to leave some kind of pocket or something. So there's the inside, and once you add photos, it will be about the right thickness. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on my spine. And now let's decorate our cover. Okay, so I've gone ahead and pulled out some things that I've pre-made for this season and wanted to show you how I'm going to do my cover. So this is a photo mat. So this is double matted, and the orange mat is 3 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then the black mat is 2 5/8 by 3 5/8. And I'm going to make this kind of a central image on my cover, but I want to give it a little bit of dimension, so I will be popping it up on a piece of chipboard. And I just keep a bin of, this is just my scrap pieces. They're not big enough really to make an album, maybe a really small one, but I use these for popping up elements on my covers and throughout various albums. So the next thing that I have a couple of spider webs. So these were cut using my Cricut. I just took a web. This is the same web that I used in my last album. I just resized it to a slightly different size. And I just used the Cricut to create a kind of mat for it. And so that's gonna go here. And I just created 2 of those, and this is the same orange cardstock that I used for the mats on the inside. And so this is just going to go under here like this. And then I have a die set. I want to say that I got it off of Amazon. Don't quote me on that. So I have these cute little hanging spiders here. And then I have couple. I have a bigger spider, and a slightly smaller spider. And then I have these matte black dots. These are, I got these from Stampin' Up! A few years ago now. I don't believe that they have them anymore, but they're just really basic black dots. So they're adhesive backed. So I'm just going to add a little bit of extra to my cover once I glue all this down. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a little bit of that tail off. And this is all that I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave it just like this. I'm just kind of putting these all over. There's not really a rhyme or reason to it. Just want to add a little bit more detail to my cover. So there you have it. It's very, very simple and very, very easy to make, especially if you pre-cut everything. Because all the measurements are essentially the same, it comes together really easily. So, and I mean, even if you don't put photos on these front pieces, there is enough space in here to put 25 photos. So you got one on the front and you got 24 on the inside. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. I know it was simple, but it is a fun project and anybody can make this folio. So as always, if you guys are interested in seeing more, don't forget to click on like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks everyone.